Yes, indeed, we are back. We made it back on Facebook Live, back on Biz Talk Radio. We appreciate those who are tuned in right now as we kick things off. Off last week, yes, we were. John Bagnesco, myself, Brian Main, Tiger Palafox. We are back. A couple of 2 or 3 people say it's good to have us back, John. In fact, Rick from Idaho says goog. Well, goog to you, Rick.
This must be something, a new phrase out there they're introducing in Idaho.
Is that a typo?
It could be good. Right?
We welcome you, Rick, no matter what you type or what you say. We love you.
Since you bring up Idaho, last week we had some nice days, right?
Yeah.
It was in the 70s, but there was one day that was cool, and I was telling my wife, too bad we're not in Idaho. They're 2 degrees warmer than us today.
Oh, what?
Is that right? What day was that?
I was thinking it was like Monday or Tuesday.
There's been some states that have had rather warm spells across the country that are normally, colder than we are.
Yeah. Well, that one area, the Banana Belt there, is usually much warmer than you would think. By the way, happy spring to both you guys.
That's right. This week, we officially kicked off spring 2024.
Right.
I couldn't make your party. I'm sorry. I apologize.
It was the vernal equinox, right?
Named after Vern Gosdin.
Is that a real person?
Yes, he's a country singer, Vern Gosdin.
I was like, is that just some made-up?
Hey, I should have taken a picture. Maybe I'll do it for next week's newsletter. But is your dandelion tree blooming?
Yes.
I have another species.
Oh.
The one you have is palmensis, right? And I have the same thing.
Okay.
Yes.
Like John says, you have this.
Yeah, exactly.
I have this. Tiger's like, okay.
Yeah. Well, no, he was.
I'm trying to think of what
I didn't want people.
You're trying to hurry the conversation. Is what John's accelerating his point.
Yeah. And after that diversion, we lost everything we saved by me doing.
Well, you have another one. You have another.
Yes.
I have a different species that I got at the Huntington Gardens plant sale last year. And camera's pointing to me now, but each bloom, there's 2 blooms on it. Each one, and I'm not exaggerating, is this big.
Really?
Men have
with
a tendency.
Hundreds and hundreds.
Are you sure? Because men have a tendency to exaggerate. Are you sure?
I mean, it's so big, Brian. It's bigger than your head.
My dandelion tree is bigger than your dandelion tree.
As we've said a million times, pictures. Love to see that picture.
What did I just say? Maybe I'll put in a picture in next week's newsletter.
Is it a bigger plant?
It's a directive.
Yes, it's a bigger plant too.
Yeah.
I could look up the species, but
okay.
If I do, I'll never find the show again.
Yeah, my dandelion tree is blooming. My paintbrush lily is blooming. My freesias are blooming.
Not, because
something ate it.
I left it. I dug it up to move it, and it was in a 5-gallon container for a year with no soil.
What are you, Brian?
I hate to admit that in front of Brian.
Okay, now I was just kidding when I told you that you don't need soil.
Yeah.
John was taking notes that day. Yeah. No soil.
So is it still alive but just not blooming?
Well, the bulbs were just sitting in the container.
Oh,
so I planted them, and they came up with leaves now.
Okay.
But no blooms. So I imagine they'll bloom next year.
My calla lily.
Your calla lily is in bloom? I have not
all of a sudden
one.
It took, this thing sat in a pot a couple of years. Okay, just kind of leave it alone. It wasn't dying. It wasn't getting better. And this past month or two, sprung to life. Springs to life. Whatever
what
the term
kind of calla?
Is. What's that?
You said a calla lily, right?
Yes.
What kind? What color?
It's just the white.
I don't. You know what? I don't know. It's one of those no label in a plastic pot that I had shoved off to the side.
Is the flower white?
Yeah. Yes. I'm sorry. Nice deep. The leaves look.
And is it?
I'm a leaf guy.
Is it maybe 2 feet tall, or is it only like a foot tall?
About a foot tall.
Oh, so it's one of the more like compact.
Right.
Little...
And I don't know much about it because for so long it was like in the corner of the patio. And didn't pay much attention. All of a sudden, it's like, where did you come from?
There's a giant white calla. Do you guys sell those?
Yeah. Yep.
Gets to be like 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
Well, that's just ridiculous. I'm happy with a foot or two.
I just saw one this week, and I'm like, I need one of those in my yard. So it's funny you mentioned that because I see them blooming now, and I'm looking at where am I going to put that in my yard.
Now, the leaves are nice. Everything about it, deep green leaves. I'm a leaf guy, John. You know
Hercules, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right. Yeah.
I have some fig trees at my house if you want fig leaves, if you're into leaves.
Oh, yeah, we could do that again.
We
Actually,
should do that again.
leaves is not a word. It would be leaves, right?
Leaves, right?
Yeah.
Fig leaves. Anyway, more and more people tuning in right now, welcoming those on Facebook Live. Those on Biz Talk Radio, who, by the way, check in every now and then, we welcome you.
I wanted to tell Tiger, too, that I'm hoping next year it will, maybe even this summer it'll bloom, because I planted my, what was the South African bulb? The Brunsvigia. I planted it in the ground. So I'm really anxious to see that bloom.
You gave me one of those too, right?
I did.
And mine is foliage, no bloom.
Right. Yours still in a container, though.
No, I planted it.
Did you plant it?
I planted it.
When?
4 months ago.
Oh, maybe yours will bloom too.
I'm hoping. It's looking good.
They bloom without foliage.
And you know what else is budded up that you gave me? The daylilies. You gave me a couple daylilies, and they're budded.
They're budding
not
right
in
now?
bloom yet. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Boy, my daylilies were shredded.
Oh, why?
Because of snails.
Oh.
Wow.
I need killer snails.
I've not had any snail problems
so
far.
Our buddy Steve in Simi Valley says he's got hundreds and hundreds of killer snails.
Just have him ship them to you.
I should.
Or we'll talk to Randy today. And
Randy's our guest, right?
Yeah,
I'm really excited about our guest.
Beneficial insects.
Okay.
We'll have to ask him. I don't know if he knows the answer to why there are no decollate snails yet.
Well, I don't think they would have anything to do with decollate snails.
Why?
Well, because you can't sell them anywhere.
Right.
Well, you can.
So why would they?
Well, certain counties you can and others you can't, correct?
In Southern California, there's 7 counties. But I'm saying you can't. I don't think you can order them from other states.
Oh, really?
Right. Plus, he's doing insects, not mollusks.
No. Oh, okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah, it's. I'm really interested to hear what he has to say because there's not a lot of new things that happen, like new concepts that happen in the gardening industry that are just, make you stop and think, why did no one ever think of this before?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And this is a great idea, so you want to make sure you listen to that.
Right. What's Randy's last name?
Green.
Thank you.
Is it Green?
No, I don't know.
Oh, no, I'm just because I read the newsletter and read his bio.
Yes,
anyway,
Green.
It is Green. Randy Green. Well, how appropriate. All right, John. Quote of the week. We still have a few minutes until the end of the segment. We'll take our break and get a hold of Randy Green. But what about that quote of the week, John?
Yeah, it's from one of your favorite people, Percy Bysshe Shelley.
I know Percy Faith. I'm not sure that I'm familiar with this person.
You know Shelley, Keats, Byron, the English poets?
Vaguely. You're dipping into the recesses of my brain.
Yeah, Lord Byron. And
oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. When you put it that
Tiger
way.
thinks Lord Byron is a plumeria.
Yeah, exactly.
You wouldn't be wrong.
Do you know that all those poets, Keats and Shelley, that they all died in their late 20s, early 30s?
Yeah,
really?
because they expressed so much emotion in their poetry that
they had nothing left.
It just drained them.
Anyway, Shelley said that I think that the leaf of a tree, the meanest insect on which we trample. What is he saying?
You know what? Can you start over again?
Yeah, I think that the leaf of a tree, the meanest insect on which we trample, are in themselves arguments more conclusive than any which can be adduced that some vast intellect animates infinity. Wow.
Okay,
deep.
all right. Now,
it was deep, John.
Now, I read that yesterday when the newsletter came.
And you read it the same way.
I stumbled.
I thought, I'm an idiot. I'm supposed to understand this. I'm embarrassed that I don't understand this.
Yeah.
I understand it. I just can't read it.
It just sounds like a bunch of words thrown together.
No, what he's saying
in other words, don't step on leaves.
No, he said, I think that the leaf of a tree,
right,
the meanest insect on which we trample. So those are two things, right?
Right.
The leaf of a tree,
and
the
meanest.
smallest, not mean like nasty, but tiny, right? He says, in themselves, their arguments more conclusive than any which can be adduced that some vast intellect animates infinity.
It doesn't matter how you read that. It doesn't
It makes no sense.
It's just stumbling along.
Had we just read that and not laughed about it, I think listeners would have been thinking, wow.
Wow,
But I
that
like.
was deep.
I was watching John read that, and as he started, I saw the expression change. He's like a leaf of.
What did I put in it?
And he's
What did
looking
I
at
do?
it and he's trying to read ahead. Like, is this going to connect and make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so that said, I think we'll take our break. Get a hold of Randy Green.
Yep.
You're going to want to be here for that. Those on Facebook Live, of course, those on Biz Talk Radio. This is last week's show.
By the way, Randy will make a lot more sense than that quote just
Yes,
did.
he will. So do stay with us. We're going to take a break for our fine sponsors on Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. By the way, this show, as always, brought to us by our good friends at Fertilome. Stay with us. Brian Main, John Bagnasker, Tiger Palafox. Back after these messages on Biz Talk Radio. Okay, we are back from the break. It is Garden America, of course. We wouldn't be anything else but Garden America, right, John? That's who we are. We keep saying we're Garden America, but I think by this time we know that.
Well, you wanted to do Garden World.
That's not bad.
No.
Garden World, but Garden America is better.
Garden America is better. By the way, we didn't talk about this earlier, and I know we're going to Randy, but I'm
Right.
so proud. I'm at 21 plus 1 on killing gophers and moles.
Ooh.
Hey, I love the update.
Yeah, 1 mole and 21
20.
gophers.
We need a boxing sound effect. Bing, bing, psh,
Yeah.
And say that statistic again.
21 gophers,
Right.
1 mole.
1 mole.
Yep.
I'm trying to find the mole on your face.
I had to whack it.
Okay,
It's
good.
a whack-a-mole.
He whacked his mole. And with that in mind, we're going to go to Tiger right now. As we say in the business, tossing to Tiger, who will bring on our guest, Randy Green.
Yeah, so this morning we have Randy Green joining us from Heirloom Roses. And Randy is a seasoned grower and pest management specialist with more than 10 years of experience working with plant pathology and entomology. He's kind of leading the charge over there at Heirloom Roses on some new innovative ways when it comes to pest management. Randy, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so Randy, first off, tell us a little bit about your background because, you've taken a couple different paths to where you're at today, but they've all kind of worked together in getting you to the point where now you're working with roses, you're working with pests, and incorporating that with what Heirloom Roses goal is to achieve. I mean, it's kind of a neat method to your madness over there. So, how did you get involved with Heirloom Roses?
So it was kind of a long journey getting involved with Heirloom Roses. I've known about Heirloom Roses for quite a long time. I've always really liked their roses and their selection that they had on their previously on their catalog, but then on their website. So I was working just at any nursery that would take me, really. I was doing side hustles at my own home, selling plants out of my backyard, kind of whatever anyone would buy. Because you know how it is working in the nursery industry during the wintertime, there's a lot of downtime. Mm-hmm. And so I would just really take whatever job I could get. And that really provided me with a lot of unique opportunities to work with a lot of really talented and interesting individuals and learn, a lot about the trade through them and through reading and research. And, one day I was on my phone. The place that I was working at was getting ready to sell the business. And I was on my phone and I was like, I really just want something more stable and like more in line with what I want to do. And I'd always wanted to work with roses. And it was really weird. I opened my email and there's there's an email. Heirloom Roses is hiring for their grower position. And I went ahead and I turned in my resume with them. And, through a long interview process, there's, from my understanding, quite a few different candidates that I was going up against. And, it was just like it was kind of like a dream come true. They called me and had a phone interview, and we did several in-person interviews. And finally, after about a month, they're like, we're going to offer you the job. And, I was really excited and happy to take it.
And how long have you been with Heirloom now?
So I have been with Heirloom Roses for about a year and a half, going on to my second year in October, I believe.
Okay. All right. And what is your kind of like official position there with the Roses?
Officially, I'm the grower and supervisor of plant health.
Okay. That's a pretty big
I was
title.
gonna say,
right
that's a
there.
responsibility.
Yeah. I mean,
It's a huge responsibility. It's very demanding, and as I'm sure you guys know, being a grower at any company is very demanding. Plants have a lot of care requirements, and they have a lot of needs, and it never stops. So,
yeah. I mean,
Sounds
John,
like kids, right?
John over here.
Yeah, I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
John over here has his thousands of roses that he takes care of. What kind of number are you guys producing out of Heirloom over there?
So there is about 750,000 scoutable stock at Heirloom Roses, and that's just in our greenhouses. So that doesn't include the stock fields as well.
See, John, you got nothing to complain about.
What do you have, John? 1,500, right, John?
First of all, I never complain.
Oh, that's true.
So
You don't ever
You
complain.
should be talking to my wife
Yeah.
and saying, "See, Shannon, you have nothing to complain about."
Hey, so Randy, once you got into that position, I'm sure you knew what some of your responsibilities would be. Anything surprised you? What is it about the job that you had to go, wow, I really need to brush up on this, or I wasn't expecting that, or this is going to be a big challenge? What are some of those things?
No really big challenges come to mind. I felt like I was where I belonged when I got into the position. I had been operating a small business on my own for quite some time prior to that. I did a fair bit of consulting as well with various different companies in the state of Oregon as they're establishing themselves. And so I got a lot of different experiences beforehand. And so I've had a lot of time to work in these various areas throughout the nursery industries that really prepped me for this position. It was almost like, God handed me a position. It was like, this is where you need to be in your life. This is where I want you. And I didn't have really anything that was crazy outside my wheelhouse. I felt very like it was very meant to be.
Yeah,
Good.
just like the last piece of a puzzle. It fit right there, and there you are. Yeah, I would say divine intervention.
Absolutely.
It sounds like it just happened to such a degree that you fit right in, and a year and a half later, you still love it, right?
Absolutely. Yes, I love it to death. And, being a grower, it demands long hours and things like that. This is one of those positions where, they really encourage you to, take care and, have your free time and have a good work-life balance. But plants at the end of the day are demanding and they have a lot of needs. Right. And, every day it's like, I look forward to getting up and I look forward to going to work and I look forward to being there. And there's very few, if any, times where I'm like, man, I just want to be at home. Like, I love being with the plants and I love being with the roses.
Yeah, it's called passion. So, we get it. Absolutely. Tiger, we've got about a minute.
Yeah, so, Randy, I know you guys are working on some new things there with the, beneficial insects and, the process as far as what you're growing. Like Brian said, we have about a minute before we're going to take a break. But when we get back from the break, I want you to expand on some of the things that you're doing there to grow out these roses. I mean, 750,000 roses, when it comes to, plant health as far as pests, disease, and you're growing them, in outdoor environments, greenhouse environments, I'm sure that it comes with its own list of challenges. So when we get back from the break, I want you to be able to have your time to be able to expand on what you guys at Heirloom Roses are doing there.
You bet. We're going to take a break for Biz Talk Radio. Thank you to our many sponsors. This show brought to us by Fertilome. Those, by the way, on Facebook Live. When we get back, any questions, comments for Randy or one of us, go ahead and post that in the comment section. Garden America continues. I'm Brian Main, John Begnasker, Tiger Palafox. Back after these messages on Biz Talk Radio. We are back from the break. As always, we trust you had a good break. We did too. Facebook Live, Biz Talk Radio. John's excited to be here. So am I. Tiger Palafox. I'm Brian Main. Back to Randy Green, Tiger, as we get more and more into this this discussion and find out more about Randy's day-to-day activity with what he's doing.
Yeah. So Randy, when talking with Robin over there at Heirloom about your guys' program, she was mentioning on how you guys are kind of introducing, a better care program for your roses. So, what is it that you guys are doing differently at Heirloom that maybe is kind of new or innovative?
Well, at Heirloom, we're using about beneficial insects for about 80 to 85% of our pest control program. So that's very unusual for a nursery of that scale. Most people are using a lot of insecticides in conjunction with the beneficial insects. We have generally maybe 1 to 2 applications at most throughout the year, but the rest of our process is using beneficial insects for control of pests on the nursery. And so we do very minimal spot sprays, and we're using very gentle chemistry compared to some of the chemistry that's out there and some of the chemistry that most of the traditional nurseries are using. And so that's something that we feel very proud of at Heirloom.
But now you've made this. Am I turned on? Or why am I
we
not
mute
hearing
you.
myself?
There you go. You're good, John. We'll turn you on. Go ahead.
All right. Well, what I'm really excited about is integrated pest management has occurred in a lot of nurseries around the country. So that's really nothing new. But for the first time, Heirloom Roses is making this available to the homeowner. And it's nothing you really even have to think about, right, Randy? When you sign up for this program, you send out the beneficials. I think it costs so much a month. And the beneficials are shipped to you wherever you live at the right time to make applications in your garden. So if you want, you can actually grow roses organically without any chemical fertilizers or harsh chemical sprays.
Absolutely. So we, in conjunction with offering the beneficial insects, we also offer organic fertilizers as well. So if you're wanting to go 100% organic, we were able to provide that to the customer. Kind of the final piece of that puzzle was introducing the beneficial insects. And what we really tried to do was we analyzed what are the worst pests that kind of attack roses, what are the most common pests, and we built a beneficial insect program around that idea of like what are people going to experience, what are problems that people are going to be dealing with in their garden. And we tried to give them a little bit of everything to be able to take care of those things. One of the main things that I've noticed throughout my years is that if you go to like a consumer-based website and you try to purchase beneficial insects from there, the price tag is just astronomical. You could be spending $300, $400, $500 to really get everything that you're getting out of this subscription box. We have a very wide variety of beneficial insects that, I should say predatory insects, that we are providing in the subscription program. And that's not something that you can easily get through other avenues. So
yeah, I think, what you guys have launched on the like Kickstarter program, you're not just sending out ladybugs and praying mantis, and I'm not trying to badmouth ladybugs and praying mantis.
No.
They do their job, and they're probably the most common beneficial insects that we all know.
And they're a big part of our audience.
Right.
So
So we don't want to downplay
most
them.
people are familiar with those.
Yeah. But I mean, like, Randy, you guys are describing, these are things that you guys are using on a grower level to be able to control pests within these plants. I mean, I'm just going to read off. It's on the Kickstarter program, so I'm going to butcher all of this. But Californicus guardians, and this is talking about, being able to attack like spider mites and things like that. And, Cucumerus commandos. And, these are tiny arachnoids that, also control things like thrips and whitefly. And the list goes on and on, that these are all beneficial insects that nobody is currently kind of like aware of, that occur in nature, help solve, these problems, that work within the environment of where you're at. So like what you are saying, what you're doing on a grower level of, growing out this merchandise for consumers, you guys are using these products to help you, so you don't have to use chemicals, so you don't have to introduce things that are artificial and possibly hurt, other pests out there or blood bugs out there, that, home gardeners are going to now incorporate in their yard. And you guys are going to put together a program that every month you're going to send out the proper product at the proper time for that use. So, it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it too. It's a really neat program. And I'm assuming that probably a lot of it came from you in your research of what's worked well in growing and what hasn't. And now you guys are passing that information on to consumers. I think that's what John is so excited about.
Right.
This is a tried and tested environment, and probably I would say that growing roses is probably one of the most difficult things when it comes to a grower does, because you got a dormant period, you got your grow period, you got your pest period, you got your disease, and to be able to manage all that and now provide that information to consumers is a pretty exciting thing. So, John, are you going to have that program for your roses now?
Well, I'll tell you, I don't spray any of my roses. Right. And I don't think you could find an aphid anywhere in my yard. But the things I do have that I was really excited about are thrips, that infest the flowers. And especially people who exhibit roses, they're always concerned, about thrips, and they're using harsh sprays. So how good is the thrips control with your program?
I think it's very good. There's things that we had to take into consideration when we're building a program like this, like costs. We are not making a massive amount of money off this. This is something that we're doing to, provide the homeowners with the same tools and tactics that we use. And so, eventually we'd ideally like to increase our offerings to help out with have more targeted thrip approaches, but we do have targeted thrip approaches in that program. So the cucumeras are going to be a very good beneficial insect for that, as well as the green lacewing larvae. I don't know if you know much about green lacewing larvae, but they're just kind of aggressive generalists, and they attack just about everything. They stab things for fun. They,
Did you say they stab things for fun?
They just want to kill.
You said they attack things for fun.
I thought they
just want to kill.
Said they stab things for fun. Like,
And it's crazy because you see the larval stage of those bugs, and you think, oh, what an aggressive, mean-looking bug, and then they grow into an adult, and they've got these nice, pretty little wings, and they're a green little bug, and they, fly around, and they look really pretty when they're in the air, and they're just so aggressive. It's just so surprising to see them as adult. You would expect them to be like a lot more like a dragonfly or something really nasty looking, and they don't turn out to be. They turn out to be very pretty, actually.
You should probably let our listeners know what their eggs look like so that they don't destroy those.
So the eggs are going to be on a filament on the bottoms and sometimes the tops of the leaves, and the egg is attached to that filament to deter predators. So when you're working with like predatory insects, there's like a constant microscopic, I don't want to say microscopic, but a very small battle going on all around you. And it's the predator insects versus other predator insects versus other bad insects. And as you know, ants farm aphids for their honeydew, similar to the way we farm cattle.
Mm-hmm.
And so what will happen is that ants will actually try to attack the eggs of the green lacewing. And so they put them on that filament, and the egg is attached at the bottom of this. It almost looks like a little white hair, and the eggs are white. And you'll see them at the ends of these hairs. And what that does is it allows the eggs to be unnoticed by the ants. The ants cannot attack them.
You know, and you bring up a great point, because for a lot of these beneficial bugs, it's their kind of like larva state that is the more voracious attacker of, you know, the bad bugs and stuff like that. You know, ladybugs, you know, when they're an adult, they eat aphids, but they're more voracious when they're actually in their larval state. So, you know, that's what you're introducing these bugs, and you might be introducing them as adults, but you're hoping that they're going to reproduce and populate, because then when they're in that egg, into the larva, into the adult, that's when you're going to get the real benefits. Hey, Randy, we're going to have to take another break right now. Lots of fun stuff to still chat about. When we get back, we'll continue chatting with Randy with Heirloom Roses, and I'll post a link to that program that they're talking about with the beneficial insects.
Yep, couple of questions on Facebook Live as well. Thank you for tuning in on Biz Talk Radio, Garden America. Brian Main, John Bagnesker, Tiger Palafox, Randy Green is our guest. And again, as Tiger mentioned, a lot of good information. Stay with us. A lot more to come here on Garden America. Welcome back from the break. By the way, those on Biz Talk Radio, this is the final segment of your hour number one. Hopefully you catch us the second hour. We come back at 6 minutes after. You've got news coming up top of the hour. The rest of us here on Facebook Live, we keep on rolling along. Thank you so much for joining us. Randy Green is with us. And again, a great thing they're doing as far as just dipping into what's already there in terms of what nature provides. And, you know, we call them beneficial insects. I think... Randy, at one point during our conversation, did you say predatory insects as well?
Yeah, so beneficial insects is kind of just a blanket term for anything that has a positive benefit to your garden. These are going to be more in the realm of predatory insects. So I like to make that distinguish that clear.
Absolutely. John, go ahead.
Well, we do have a question from a listener in Idaho. And Kevin says that Cannon Beach, Oregon's the hydrangea capital of the world, and he wants to know if Heirloom specializes in any other types of flowers or plants other than roses.
Yeah, so this year we're going to be launching herbaceous perennials. I'm not the person to get into heavy detail on that. That's something that the gals have put together there over at Heirloom. Robin being one of them, and you know, the rest of the people on the team have really put a lot of work into that. And, you know, the roses keep me very busy. So it was just one extra thing where it was like, you know, I don't want to particularly get too involved in this.
Right.
And it gave our propagation supervisor the opportunity to really delve in and, you know, hone in on our expertise there. So.
Now, Heirloom was doing quite a bit with hydrangeas in the past. I don't know if they still are. Are you the propagator for those, or is that another grower?
That's another grower.
Okay.
So,
sorry, I'm trying to do
quite a few, like I said, quite a few different companion plants on our website, and those, if I'm not mistaken, are launched right now as we speak. So there will be a category within the website that they can do those and choose from those.
That brings up another question. On these companion plants, are any of them going to be host plants for some of the insects that are in your program?
I'm glad you asked that. Unfortunately, at this time, we do not have any sort of plants that are beneficial for the beneficial insects. Mm-hmm. But if you want to on your own, or if anybody wants to on their own, to bring things into their garden, they can bring things like oat wheat. That will be really helpful for the Irvi and the Colamani. They work as like kind of a breeding ground for them so that you can keep numbers high in your garden, along with the monthly reintroductions. You can also do castor plants. Those work really well for the cucameras and californicus and other predatory mites. I do have to mention, though, if you're going to be planting castor plants, the seeds of castor plants are very dangerous. So if you have animals or children, you should take extreme caution when planting those kinds of plants. But also ornamental peppers work really well for like pirate bugs. Those will come into your garden with those. And it also helps provide a hospitable environment for the Californicus and cucumaras and other mites like that. So,
Hey, I had a quick question that you may not know the answer to because it's more of a southern problem, I think, at this point. But you mentioned that some of your beneficials or some of your predatory insects took care of thrips. Do they also take care of Cuban thrips that are affecting roses in warm climates?
yeah, so our beneficial insect program, the cucumaras and the Californicus, are switched out per the temperatures throughout the United States. So we tried to design it when when it's early in the summer and the temperatures are a little bit more mild and low. We have the cucumaras, and then we switch over to the Californicus, which is also an aggressive predator. They're going to help out with thrips, but the green lacewing also are going to help out with thrips. There's really, I'm sure you guys probably know this, but there's not really a lot of chemistry that's particularly effective against the thrips.
Right.
And so we kind of, as a society, we've sprayed so many chemicals trying to get rid of thrips that they've all become resistant to them. And so honestly, your best bet is actually going to be beneficial or predatory insects to take care of them. If one wanted to, and these are, offerings that we want to expand on in the future, but if one wanted to, they could order pirate bugs as well, which are going to be able to go inside the flowers and predominantly work inside the flowers to take care of those thrips. Pirate bugs or Aureus insidious.
So just to let our listeners know, I've been busy. I posted a link to the heirloomroses.com product selection for their Guardians of the Garden package. And Heirloom also has been nice enough to share with us a discount code, Insects10. If you do use that during the purchase, you get 10% off of your purchase
Wow.
from the beneficials there. So anyways, yeah, heirloomroses.com, Guardians of the Garden, and then it's Insects10 is a coupon code to be able to save 10% off that purchase. Randy, when it comes to, it's so neat to hear a grower with all this information because, like you just mentioned, I think most big growers in the industry will be like, oh, we got thrips. We're going to just spray the whole lot with this product. It's, but like you're saying, like, even if you do spray it, it's not that effective. So why continue down that path when you can rethink it and, manage things a little bit differently and be able to be more successful with the use of these?
His program is also known as Boots on the Ground.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, exactly. Well, and that's the thing too, is like when we continue to spray this chemistry when it's not effective, it's actually better for us to take a break from it. Mm-hmm. If we stop spraying it for a while, that resistance will eventually breed itself away. Yeah. And so, like a couple of years ago, I forget what the product was called, but everybody kind of collectively agreed the growers collectively agreed not to use that chemistry anymore because it was kind of the last line of defense. And, now that some of that chemistry is available to the home growers with Amazon and other avenues like that, I think we're starting to do like that plan where we all, collectively agreed not to use that stuff anymore, kind of fell apart because people are getting their hands on some very dangerous chemistry on things like Amazon. And I see extremely scary reviews on some of them where people are like, oh, it doesn't smell like anything. And it's like, you're spraying Avid.
Yeah.
And
Hey, Randy, sorry to cut you off, but we do have to pause just for a break, but we'll pick right back up when we get back.
We've got a couple of questions, 2 or 3 questions when we return as well. Those on Biz Talk Radio, news coming up. We come back at 6 minutes after. We do hope you can catch us. In the meantime, for our Facebook Live viewers and listeners, we are coming back much quicker. Do stay with us as we continue our conversation with Randy Green. This is Garden America, Brian Main, John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox. Welcome back to the show, Garden America. This is hour number 2. If you're tuned in on Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live, thank you for being right there with us as we get together again. Brian Main, John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox. Some questions. Tiger, back to you. We'll continue with Dave Green and get into more of these situations with predatory insects.
Yeah, Randy is our guest
What did I
with
say?
Heirloom Roses.
You said Dave Green.
Did I say Dave Green?
Yes, you did.
Wow.
But Randy, we were cutting you off, and it was at a very important part, and I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry,
because,
Dave. We appreciate it. Sorry.
because what you were mentioning was in a product, that somebody buys online to be able to use in their garden. They might be able to go online and search it and find it, but then when they get it to their home, we have very strict rules for products here in the United States, and depending on the state that you're in. And one of those things is hopefully for the safety of everybody's use of it. And, what is it? Propane gas, they inject that odor into propane gas. So that it's propane.
In your home as well.
And you can blow up if you don't be careful.
Yes.
There's a lot of chemicals that you're right. Naturally, they don't have an odor. But companies inject an odor because if somebody goes into that area or if somebody goes to drink that product or if somebody, just needs to be aware that there's a chemical happening in the area that they're at, that if they don't have an odor and they're applying this to their yard, somebody could walk back there and pass out or, it could be bad for their dog or their cat or something.
Sure.
That's what you were describing,
and it's not
right?
just acute toxicity that you need to worry about. It's long-term health effects, which is a perfect example of that is Roundup. I mean, Roundup was one of those products where, everybody, it was safe, it's perfectly fine to use, and it didn't have an acute toxicity. But then not everybody, but a lot of people ended up with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and that could very well happen with a lot of these other products. You just really don't know, and so it's important to avoid using these products. But when you do, be safe. But
and like you said, you guys
bringing these products, it gives people that multifaceted approach that need to be used with that chemistry, and it brings it to the table for them without them having to do all that research and homework and thinking about it. It's just thoughtless. You just go in, you hang up these tags on your plant, and, you're taken care of. And I'm not going to say it's 100% effective or 100% perfect, but neither is chemistry either.
Yeah.
So if you're not working in the life cycle of the bug, if you're not thinking about the stage in which the bug is at, whether you're targeting the egg, what type of bug you're targeting, with what chemistry. There's so many different things to think about. There's no such thing as a silver bullet in any pest management program. And that's true for chemistry as well. And a lot of people, that's what they're looking for. And that's what we tried to give them. And it's never going to be perfect, but we did give them the best and closest thing to a silver bullet as we could.
Yeah. By the way, Tiger, John says that he did not see the link or the discount that you posted.
Uh-oh.
It's not, we don't see it up there.
And I didn't see it either, so
right.
You promised everyone a discount.
Terrible. All right, let me go back to work.
Okay, John.
They'll get it. We promise they'll get it.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Insect 10 was the discount code, right?
That was the code, yeah.
Okay. Tiger's going to try to post it again. Meantime, we have some questions from listeners that we could go through. John wants to know, are there other or companion plants that you recommend that will attract or host the beneficials, predatories? And the insects that you're sending out on your program for roses, do they also work on other plants?
So to start off, yes, there are a multitude of different plants that you can use. The oat wheat, like I had mentioned, the castor plants, dangerous plants, but good plants, very pretty, ornamental peppers also. You can also use things like barriers and deterrents, which would be like catmint, basil, chives, garlic, tansy, and rosemary. Those will help to deter the bad insects from coming into your garden. And then there was another part to that question. And
the insects that you send out, are they effective for other plants other than just roses?
Oh, absolutely. They are effective in your vegetable garden. If you want to use them in your vegetable garden, you want to use them pretty much anywhere throughout your garden. They will work very well for that. You just need to think about the subscription service is designed to cover about 500 square feet. And so just keep that in mind when you're making those applications with those beneficial insects.
And then Kevin in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, has a dumb question.
Right. This is our dumb category of the week.
Right. We only allow one dumb question per show. So here we go. Yeah.
That's why I don't say anything.
Well, I'll answer the first part of the question. He says, what's the difference between an heirloom rose and a regular rose? And heirloom roses is a general class of old garden roses. And the company Heirloom Roses that Randy works for sells all kinds of roses, modern roses, as well as some older roses. So the name of the company might be a little bit misleading.
You know, to help remember that, you look at something in your house, maybe your grandmother, your grandfather. Oh, this is a family heirloom, from the past, right?
Yeah.
Right. But if that was the name of your house, Heirloom House, you wouldn't expect to see only heirloom furniture. You'd see some new. Never mind. Okay. This is a little bit off, but Kevin says that he heard that roses are beneficial in growing in vineyards to be the first alert against mildew.
Yeah, indicator plant, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That is a factual statement. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there are certain varieties of roses that are called indicator roses because they get mildew quickly.
Yeah.
So if you've got a vineyard,
And we don't plant those.
well, some of them are really nice. I don't know if maybe Randy's going to come up with something that works on
predatory
diseases,
insect
too.
for disease. Yeah, there you go. Hey, Randy. You mentioned something earlier about it's not always perfect, and if you're going down this path of this integrated pest management, organic fertilizers for feeding the soil and not just the plants. There's a great documentary movie that was called The Biggest Little Farm, and it's about this farm that takes that path. They do away with all the old standards of farming and they introduce animals and pollinators and plants and all kinds of stuff. And it's a great way to show that it's not perfect, but it can be better. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
and I think that's where you're getting at, meaning you're not going to get perfect solution and zero thrips on your yard, but it's going to be better than what you're doing now because of everything that could possibly negative happen to it, just the use of things, and the plant health is actually going to be better down the road. So I think that's something that people need to understand, that nothing is going to be perfect, but this path is better for the long term. So, I think that's
in
wonderful.
the long term, it is absolutely better. And the one thing that I want to say is that when you bring these beneficial insects into your garden and you're eliminating or reducing your insecticide use, you are naturally bolstering the native insect ecology that's there.
Yeah.
So you're going to have not only the predatory insects that we send you, but you're also going to have the native predatory insects for your area coming in to help out as well.
Yeah, and then that's just going to boost everything again, because now, like you're saying, the ladybugs, the praying mantis, the other ones that are already there are going to be more populated.
Absolutely.
So,
and I do have to say before, while it's on the subject, while we're on the subject, is ladybugs. They are captured in the wild and they're sent to you. They're in freezers. They're sent to you. But the problem with them is that we're actually getting an invasive type of ladybug, which is, I believe it's the Asian ladybug, that's getting mixed in with those ladybugs that are getting sent out. And so they're being shipped all over the continental United States. They're actually taking over the native population of ladybugs.
Okay.
So really watch out ordering ladybugs off the internet.
Good.
I've recently found out that the two-spotted ladybug is being reared, which is really exciting news, and I'm really excited about that development and excited to explore that a little bit further. But what you would get with reared ladybugs is actually getting the larval stage of that ladybug.
Nice. Yes. And the larva state is where they do all the eating. So good information. Hey, Randy, great information. Heirloomroses.com to be able to find this program that they're putting together, and also roses and other plants are available there. Lots of great information that also has a video with Randy in it. So thank you for joining us this morning. Randy, have a great rest of the weekend. Good luck on your season, and hopefully we'll talk to you again soon. You take care.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you so much. You guys have a great day.
You bet. Perfect. Okay, with that in mind, we're going to take a break for Biz Talk Radio. Back after these messages. Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. This is Garden America. All righty, we are back from the break. And again, good speaking with Randy this morning with the beneficial insects, the predatory insects, and just a better way to control pests in your garden all the way around. You know, he did mention one thing, which we all know in terms of, spreading fertilizer, so on and so forth. They can develop a resistance over the years, months. But when you've got insects eating other insects, killing other insects, with that battleground going out there, that war that you see in your backyard, there's no resistance.
I can
you bring in
picture the
more
movie
forces.
now,
Yeah.
the Guardians of the
Guardians of the
Garden, right?
Exactly.
Hey, John, I got a question for you regarding this, because I grew up the tail end of the chemical push,
Right. The brown bottle with the
Yes.
skull and crossbones.
So, that was a product when I was growing up. It was there, but by the time I actually started knowing gardening, we were moving into this organics, more specific use of pest control for specific bugs and not just broad spectrum insecticides. But you grew up probably with your grandparents and your parents teaching you organic farming, because those products were not existent. Then you got handed Miracle-Gro and Malathion and all of these wonderful cure-alls for plant
and
problems,
thus the
right?
growth on the back of his neck.
Exactly. And now you're kind of seeing it come right back to where it was when you first started gardening. And I mean, what do you think about that whole sequence of events?
What do I think about it?
Yeah. Because I know your thoughts on stuff, but
yeah, I think
The opinions expressed by John Bagnasko are not necessarily those of Garden America.
No, things have come around, and people lived just fine before chemicals. And when you look at chemical fertilizers, they were first developed to be an additional benefit in growing crops, but not to replace the organic foods that were being used. And eventually it became to, the chemical companies thought, hey, we can make money doing this. You should only use this.
yeah.
And of course, anytime you add chemicals or salts, anytime you add salts to the soil, you kill something that's alive. But, thinking of when I started in the garden center, you would go to the chemical shelf and there was DDT on the shelf, lead arsenate, a lot of really heavy-duty things.
We had it in our garage when I was a kid. Same thing, these brown bottles, skull and crossbones, and all I had to know as a kid that skull and crossbones not good. I didn't know what was in there. Just not good.
Yeah.
Not good. That was kind of the international symbol for poison, right,
Yeah,
John?
I think the only skull and crossbones that we had in the garden center was, what was the tobacco spray? Blackleaf 40.
Oh,
Do they still make that?
No, I don't.
No.
I if they do, it's definitely not in California.
Okay.
And,
To use on the back 40?
I
Is
think
that
it
what you're
was
saying?
nicotine sulfate was
Oh,
the
really?
chemical that was used, and it was the only one that had the skull and crossbones, and
Yeah.
it was organic.
Yeah, really?
So, yeah.
That's right on nicotine. Yeah, it
Yeah.
came from there. Yeah, that's funny. But
So
yeah,
anyway,
it's-
that's where that, and the same thing happens with medicines now.
yes,
Yes.
People are going towards more natural controls or natural homeopathic medicines, and a lot of them really work and do much better than taking a pill. Though I know that, like anyone, Brian, you enjoy taking pills.
Lots of them.
I like all kinds of the supplements and stuff, and it turns out that maybe that stuff's not good, but it's not bad either.
Well, at this
Right.
stage, what the heck, right?
Well, I think your current situation, John, is a perfect example of something that a home gardener. Okay, number one, it's it's just pure laziness on my part, but I never spray for bugs in my yard. I just don't feel like I have enough plants that would maybe die or be super affected that if I had aphids on these plants or if I had, whitefly on this plant, I'm just like, it'll do it. I think the biggest thing that I'm concerned about is my orange tree with scale and whitefly. But even then I just kind of like wash it off for the most part and I'm okay with it. But in your situation where you have gopher, which is truly killing your plants.
Oh yeah.
Right.
If you don't solve the problem.
Right.
That's where you step in and you say, hey, I've got to do something. So if you got aphids, if you got scale, if you got thrips that are truly killing your plants to the point where they won't come back, this year if you don't treat them, then yeah, you want to be using products and you figure it out. But
Well, gophers, that's true. But, I with 1,500 roses at my house, if you come and look for aphids, I haven't seen one yet this year.
yeah.
And, last year you could go in the middle of the summer and there'd be no aphids in my yard. So you can bring that under control that's not just tolerating what's there. It's just like they're gone. You never see them.
Let's catch up on some questions.
We have questions. Sorry.
Yeah, we
Rick.
do. We have a few. Carla wanted to comment that according to the catalog of Heirloom Roses, that John and Louise Clements, who were the founders, fell in love with old garden roses in Europe and helped introduce them into the United States, thus the name of the company. Well, it's not quite true. I haven't read what's on the website, but I knew both John and Louise, and they went to Europe and discovered David Austin roses, which were breeding old garden roses with modern roses to come up with an old garden shape on really hardy plants. And John was responsible for introducing those into the United States. And so it was an heirloom looking rose, but they were actually more modern roses.
Okay.
So, and both really nice people. John was a quick story. The first time I met John Clements, he was he could be a little difficult to get along with, but I usually get along with everybody, especially if we're
like
talking
roses.
plants.
Yeah, right.
But what broke the ice with him was he liked bougainvillea.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh.
and you would think up in Oregon, why bougainvillea?
Oh.
So anyway, we started talking about it, and he mentioned a company. Excuse me for a second.
There's a cough button right there.
Oh, okay. I see it.
That's okay.
So anyway, he mentioned a company in Alabama that grew bougainvillea. But I said, one of the things I hate about that company, even though they got a great selection, is they changed the names. And how do you know what you're really getting when somebody's going to change the name of the bougainvillea? And he looked at me and he goes, you mean like I do with roses?
Yeah.
And I didn't think about it, but I said, now that you mention it, I really don't like doing it with roses either. But anyway, we were good friends after
That's
that.
funny.
All
right, what other questions do we have?
We got we got about a minute. See if you can squeeze the one question that are we with Rick? Rick's question. You got to scroll back up.
Oh, Rick wanted to know if kelp and worm castings help fight off insects. They help fight off sucking insects.
Right, right.
And the reason is that it increases the cell wall, and it's more difficult for an aphid to get its little proboscis stuck into the cell wall and suck out the juices.
And then there are some products out there that we don't recommend that actually work to thin out those cell walls, and those plants now become more susceptible.
Yeah, well, usually those are water-soluble chemical-type fertilizers.
It is break time. Back
It's a
with
miracle
more
if they
questions.
grow, if you use
It's a
those.
miracle that anything gets done around here. Okay, we're going to take a break. Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. I'm Brian Main. John Begnasker, Tech of Halifax. We're coming back here on Garden America. We are back in action. The mics are hot, ready to go. A couple of more segments to go as we continue on your weekend. All right, so today's show uploaded on our YouTube channel. Go to our YouTube page, Garden America Radio Show, to catch anything you might have missed. Whatever's on your mind, and be sure to go to our website, gardenamerica.com.
You know, it's funny. I don't know if people got this with our conversation that we're having today, too, that, you know, when we think of bugs, we instantly, I think, usually associate them with pollinators and different things in the garden that we can see, that we can actually, you know, go out there and look and watch butterflies and bees and flies and that kind of stuff, right? But, you know, like Randy had mentioned, there's a battle going on in the yard that we can't see because these bugs are so small,
right?
Or they're so well hidden within the environment that they're the ones doing the battling with the predatory bugs, beneficial bugs, and it's that balance that they have in that landscape. And when you use a product like a broad spectrum insecticide, you just kill everything. But it's kind of like a weed. The ones that come back quicker are going to be the predatory, the bugs that are eating your plants, because that food source is still there. Where when you kill the good bugs,
right,
they don't come back because you've removed their food source.
Sure.
They're what they're going after. And so it's kind of interesting to look at it from that perspective, that you can't even see what's going on really in the yard.
It's like all the bacteria and biology that goes on underneath when you dig up the dirt.
Yep. You
Everything
can't
going
see
on
it
underneath there.
but there's a lot happening.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't, when you're spraying for a particular problem, you don't realize that it's not a discriminate spray, that it's indiscriminate. It kills good bugs, it kills bad bugs.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, was it Lauren
Nancaro?
Lauren Nancaro that wrote the book Bugs, Thugs, and Other Slugs?
Yep. And like dead snails don't sleep.
Oh,
I can't remember something.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, dead snails leave no trails.
Yeah. No, but
That is good. I like dead snails leave no trails. That is good.
Yeah, he started, he kind of got into doing things organically.
yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just so, physically I can't spray now because I've got 3.5 acres, right?
Right.
And one of the weed infestations I have is castor beans.
Oh.
So I feel a little bit better now knowing
they're-
that they're good for something.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Are we caught up? Where are we question-wise?
Well, we had a lot of comments.
Okay.
And I guess we could read some of those.
Sure.
Jan up in Brentwood says that she plants a lot of milkweed to attract beneficial insects to her roses.
Yeah.
And Carla had asked whether it was tropical or native or both, and Jan mentioned that the native milkweeds were the best for her.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just any milkweed. I mean, mix them up so you can get the best of both worlds.
There was a, things go in cycles where they're really popular and everybody wants them. Wasn't it last year or the year before, everybody wanted milkweed?
Everybody still does.
They still do?
Yep. Still a huge plant for the nursery and the garden centers.
And do you have both tropical and native?
We do. We do have both tropical and native. Yeah.
Kevin says that when he had really bad infestation of whiteflies on the citrus and hibiscus, I think that was when Kevin lived down here.
Right.
It would have been giant whitefly.
Yep.
Yes.
Before they brought in the predatory insect. He said he would just use a power washer to
Wash it
go
off.
under the leaves, and he said it worked really well.
Yeah. And that's the nice thing too. I mean, with that hibiscus, they love getting a good wash down anyways. They're
Anyway,
tropical
right?
plants. They love the
Yeah.
water. You can't go wrong. That they love that. Where sometimes you don't wash down your plants because they get disease or whatever. But hibiscus love it.
Rick wants to know when you should spray fruit trees and what you should use. You know what? Go to the UC Pest Management website. UC Davis has got a pest management website. And if you go there, you can look up whatever plant you want. Like you could look up apple trees, and it'll tell you the time of year to spray, what to spray for, and things you have to watch out for.
Okay.
Also, our friend Ed Livo has really good videos that he's put together about fruit tree management and care and stuff like that. So, and I like his videos because they're really bare, just information, really good stuff. And Ed Livo is a great source. If you're talking fruit trees, if he says something, there's some education
It's
behind
probably
it.
the gospel.
Yeah,
The gospel of Ed
exactly.
Livo.
So that's another good source for fruit tree care.
Lisa says, wants to know our thoughts on neem oil.
Does that come from a tree in Africa? Neem oil?
I don't know if it's from Africa. I do know they have them in India.
Okay.
It's from the neem tree.
The neem
Yep.
tree, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, I just don't spray anything. If you have to spray for a particular reason, neem is an organic spray. But again, if you're spraying with oils, you're going to kill
Everything that you hit.
everything it hits, beneficial as well as.
Yeah. So I think that people have to understand what neem oil is. It suffocates, right?
Right.
So it like you're saying, I wouldn't say it's necessarily the neem. The neem is an organic attribute of that oil.
Right.
But in theory, all you're doing is you're applying an oil to the plant, which you're hoping is going to coat this bug.
And it's a biodegradable oil rather than a petroleum
oil, which is going to then suffocate that bug. So
Right.
whether you put it on an aphid or a lacewing or anything else,
It's gonna
it's going to suffocate it. It doesn't like, oh, look at there's an lacewing. I'm not going to hit that guy. And so you're just suffocating all the bugs on there. So it does work for that problem, but like you're saying, it's just because it's organic doesn't mean it's necessarily better or nondescript or
That's right. Yeah.
Arsenic is organic.
Yeah, what did you just say it was? The nicotine?
Oh, yeah. Nicotine sulfate, right. Tobacco. There is another benefit of neem, though, is that it does control some disease, right?
Yeah.
Like mildew and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I just live with. I was
Like
going
I-
to say
like
I
I
live
say-
live with disease, but that's actually what people die with.
But like I say, it's
Yeah.
it's when you get to a point where you're going to actually lose plants or lose something that you're like, hey,
Right.
step in, solve the problem.
Yes.
That's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you can go just because Eugenia hedges, they have psyllid in them,
Right.
and they get little bumps on the foliage, and the whole hedge, the whole plant is covered with these little bumps. And from afar, you don't care. You just see a hedge,
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
When you get close, you see those little bumps, and people go, I don't want to see them. It's like, well.
Don't get so close.
and there's really nothing you could do. Like they're always there. Like even the most systemic insecticides that they sell will solve the problem, but then you have to reapply because it's going to come back.
And like you say, John tries not to spray. I'm the same way. You are too. There's so much you can live with until
Yeah.
you get to that peak where I've got to step in and do something.
Yeah.
Whereas some people react right away, and they're a little too anxious and have a lot of anxiety.
They think that just because they see aphids on their rose, that rose is going to die, and
Right.
that's just not the case.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Sometimes there's certain times of the season, and one of the things we should probably point out is that right now we're discussing our own experiences in Southern California.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, yes.
And
Other
there's
places.
other parts of the country that have heavy disease pressure.
Yeah.
And
Or
sometimes
bug pressure.
right, and sometimes it's so bad there's nothing you can do, like with the cicadas that are.
I was going to say the newsletter article that you
Yeah.
just put out. I mean, Good luck to those people.
Yeah, you just got to live
We'll
with
pray for
that. And you know what? My son Joe lives in Indiana, and that's the state that's going to have the double whammy.
Double whammy, you know? I mean,
I think that'd be interesting to see. It's only like every 200 and some years that occurs.
wasn't that part of your theory behind, was it the walnut too?
The walnut.
Disappearing? There was some tree. Chestnut?
Oh, the chestnut.
And like, you're like,
Passenger pigeons.
oh yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Passenger pigeons, chestnut, yeah. But I mean, like, maybe the cicadas came through and just killed everything.
I don't think the adult cicadas do anything, do they?
I don't know.
I
don't know them because we don't deal with them here.
Well, don't they? I think they live for just a couple weeks, and they're kind of busy breeding during that time.
Okay. But they don't actually decimate anything?
I don't think they do.
They're just annoying?
I mean, they're so bad that you have to sweep them up.
Yeah.
You know, and
But they're
fill
not like
trash
they're
cans
not like
with them.
completely eating all the leaves off of trees or anything like that.
Yeah, I think that's more locusts.
Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
not cicada.
We're getting biblical here. We're going to take a break. We have one more segment coming up. Still plenty of time for your questions, your comments as we continue. So again, Garden America, we continue. Brian Main, John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox. A break for our friends on Biz Talk Radio. Stay with us. Back with our final segment as we continue on your weekend, or maybe you're watching or listening to this show at some other time. We appreciate that as well. Okay, this is it, guys. Last segment and some comments.
You know, I was just getting warmed up, too.
You're just getting warmed? This is when you shine.
That's what happens when you're older. It takes a while to get things
That's why you
going.
want to start this show at 10 o'clock Pacific time. I get it.
Carla wants to know if we want an update on Nucios.
Yes.
We would like one, Carla. Nucios was the world premier growers of azaleas and camellias, and they're going away because, like all nurserymen, they retire, and the kids say, "I'm not doing that."
Yeah, this is way hard to do.
Yeah.
Okay, cicadas have modified mouth parts to feed on liquids rather than solid material. So the larvae suck juices from the plant roots because they're in the ground.
Right.
But the adults suck fluids from woody shrubs and trees. So they'll attach to the bark or the stem of trees, and then they'll suck. So probably not decimate, you know, like we're talking about like a locust where they decimate. But, you know, I mean, a lot of them could probably do some damage. So a double.
If I was a cicada, I'd go after maple trees.
Oh, they're delicious.
To get the maple syrup.
They're all just sucking on the maple tree, all just falling off, all happy, fat.
Rick wants to know if plants that are putting on new growth are more susceptible to bugs. Again, as we were referring to, if you're using chemical liquid fertilizers, the plants are going to put on fast growth.
A fluorescent light show.
Right. That's saying, come and eat me. I'm soft and succulent. But that new growth is going to be tougher and more resistant to insects if it's growing naturally. Yeah. So if you're using the organics in the soil, that's the best thing to do.
Yeah, but no matter what, when you see new growth, that is where usually the pests are. Because, like John mentioned, that's where the newest, softest foliage is, where pests can get in there. Where you don't see it on your old leathery leaves anymore. Bugs can't get into there.
Jan says that she has a no-spray garden, and she says that it attracts beneficial birds also.
Jan the rose gardener?
Yep.
Yeah.
And she has phoebes that eat all types of insects and little green birds that she calls cleaner birds that take the scale off her citrus trees.
I need one of those.
God, they're all doing the work.
Yeah. Those remind me. That reminds me of that. What's that fish in your fish tank that just goes on the walls?
The Plecotomus, Pletko.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's big.
I'm like, I need one of those for the scale on my citrus tree.
Right, he just goes and sucks everything up, and now I've got snails in there. They're doing.
You need
a
a lot
job.
of rain for them to survive on your citrus trees.
Yeah.
Though.
Exactly. I don't know how my citrus tree would survive if it was underwater.
I was going to mention to Jan that she should sign up for that program with Heirloom Roses because they're going to be sending out the things that the birds aren't going to take care of, the thrips that are in the petals. And to have those out there to add to what she's got going be a great addition. Lila says that she heard that aloe juice sprayed on plants will repel pests. Is that true or false?
Aloe juice. So, aloe, the liquid in the aloe.
I've never heard that. I've heard it with garlic.
I know,
garlic can be a repellent.
You can take an aloe plant, break it in half, and rub it on a sore, and it helps to heal.
Burn.
Yeah, burns. Right,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, not sure.
I've told you that story when my son was really little. He learned to walk at 9 months old. And the doctor warned us one time. He said, he's 9 months and he's walking, but he's still 9 months. Don't treat him like he's a year old. And when we first moved to California, my wife had put a pot of hot tea on the table, and he pulled on the tablecloth, and it went all over his shoulder. So we, of course, rushed him to the hospital. And on the way, I stopped by the nursery I was working at because I knew there was an aloe plant out in front of the nursery. And I got the aloe, and we rubbed it on him all the way there. And he stopped crying. He was screaming up
kind of
until
a cool
then.
feeling.
Yeah, so we get to the hospital, and the doctors and the nurses, well, the nurses more so, were yelling at us, never put anything on a burn except ice. And we're saying, what made us feel bad, you're such terrible parents, you should never have put this.
You should never have hot tea on the table. You put aloe on your kid now.
You should not be walking at 9 months.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
So the doctor came in and he goes, he's got 2nd and 3rd degree burns. He's going to have scarring. He said, you should never have put this on. And so they wiped it all off, and now he's screaming again. And they put the ice on, but we get home, and I put more aloe on because it did make him feel better. And we took him back to the doctor the following week. The doctor wanted to see him, and there was no signs of burns at all. It was 100% taken care of, and doctor was surprised, didn't know what it was. He said, it certainly wasn't the aloe. Never do that again.
Yeah, you know what? This goes back to if they didn't read it in the medical book in college, it doesn't exist, or it can't happen, or it can't work. There are a lot of doctors that are like that. They're just very stubborn.
Yeah.
And especially back in the good old days that John's referring to.
Kind of like stubborn radio people.
Absolutely. About a minute and a half, guys.
Brian, do you know Ryan? He wants to know if we do our shows on Saturdays out in the public.
Yeah, we're going to try to. I'm talking to John Clemens about doing the one up at the Botanical Gardens.
We're trying to go public. The only hang up is John's police record.
Yeah, that's true. We got to.
That shouldn't be a problem.
There's only certain counties we can do it in.
We can get like a 2-hour furlough kind of a thing for him.
Yeah,
or 3 hours. Furlough meaning
Yeah.
Ryan wants his mother to be able to see us. So
where do they live? In San Diego?
Yeah, I think they're in San Diego.
Okay,
somewhere.
yeah, we'll be posting about the Botanical Garden one soon.
Kevin wants to know what the topic for next week's show is. He wants to remind us it's the day before Easter. Did you talk about resurrection plants?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, resurrection plants. That's good. Very good, guys.
I don't have that one yet, so we will see.
Carla, her update on Nucios says that they're in full operation right now with no sign of closing. She said school's trying to buy the property, but she says they're going to be there at least 1 year.
We got to go, guys. We got to stay on time.
Stay dry, everyone. Stay safe.
John, we got your last comment. Yes, we could probably do something on that as well. I don't think it's very controversial.
No, medicinal gardens?
Yes.
Sure.
We can do that. Hey, thank you so much for joining us. Those on Biz Talk Radio, those on Facebook Live. We are coming back next week, so do stay with us. For the entire crew, I'm Brian Main, John Begnasker, Tyke Palafox. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have a safe week, and we are back again next week right here on Garden America. Take care. Be safe.